Sullivan Center and at Quigley Court, host of tonight's Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference matchup between the visiting Cougars of St. Xavier University and your St. Francis Fighting Saints. At this time, we ask that you please rise and kindly remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Let's introduce tonight's starting lineups first for the visiting Cougars. A senior outside number 3, Tara Green. A senior setter number 7, Samantha Hood. A sophomore middle blocker number 9, Delaney Pinoza. A sophomore defensive specialist number 10, Taylor Van. A senior middle blocker number 12, Nicole Wishel. Sophomore middle blocker number 22, Carrington Smith. And middle player graduate number 24, Amanda Martinez. The group has been coached by Bob Pearson. And now the starting lineup for your Fighting Saints. First up, a senior center from Beecher, Illinois, number 5, Tali Masada. Senior outside hitter from Joliet, Illinois, number 13, Riley Coongate. A freshman middle hitter from Joliet, Illinois, number 15, Delaney Crispy. A sophomore setter from Burkina, Illinois, number 16, Alyssa Teskey. A freshman defensive specialist from Joliet, Illinois, number 18, Maya Broadway. Senior hitter number 19, Riverside, Illinois, Kate Rich. And middle hitter, sophomore from Frankfurt, Illinois, number 4, Andy Simon. Head coach of the Fighting Saints, Xavier.
Good evening from the Sullivan Center on the campus of the University of St. Francis in Joliet, Illinois. Welcome to today's CCAC volleyball matchup between the Fighting Saints of St. Francis and the visiting Cougars of St. Xavier University. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's matchup. as the Fighting Saints look to bounce back from a tough defeat the last time they went at it here at home against Indiana South Bend 7 days ago today. Both of these teams are actually coming off of a loss. St. Xavier fell to Columbia over the weekend, a straight sets defeat, a tough loss for them after they had been playing really well. They were at St. Ambrose, and they did beat St. Ambrose earlier in the day, but the late afternoon matchup against Columbia was a defeat. So the good news for the Cougars is that that was not a conference matchup. This one is, so it's a big game for both teams who come into play today, tied in the loss column with 3 in second place right now in the CCAC. St. Francis is on the right. They get the first serve of the game. It belongs to Talia Masana, and we are off and running. St. Francis and St. Xavier, which should be a really good matchup. Blocked at the net by the Fighting Saints as the opening rally stays alive. Hit over to the back line. That's Ann Simon in goal for the Saints today as that one sails out of bounds. First point of the game goes to St. Xavier on the miss hit from Riley Hungate. St. Francis comes into play today with an overall record of 14-12, 10-3 in conference. St. Xavier is 14-7. They are 12-3 in conference. So they're tied in the wins column overall. They're tied in the loss column in conference play. St. Xavier's played 2 more CCAC matches. Good hit from Delaney Kirstein, but a nice dig on the other end keeps the rally alive. Pushed over by Alyssa Teskey. Here's the return. Big swing. And a nice defensive play by the Saints. Good battle at the net. It's Hungate. Blocked right back to Maya Broadway. Dug out by Ivana Martinez. Tapped over by Jenny Jensen. The Saints keep it alive. Still just the second point of the night, and it's going to go to St. Xavier. Diving effort from Masana. She's not able to pull it in. And so the Cougars lead by 2 as we take a look at their starters today. It's Tara Glynn, Samantha Hovey, Delaney Panazzo, Taylor Van, Carrington Smith, and Nicole Grohola. Ivana Martinez is their libero. Teskey with the left hand, deflected and down. A point for Alyssa Teskey and the Fighting Saints. St. Francis' starting lineup: Cadence Woodrich, Maya Broadway, Alyssa Teskey, Delaney Kirstein, Riley Hungate, and Talia Masana. And Simon is their sophomore libero. Riley Hungate is the server. Leading point scorer this year for the Fighting Saints. Here's Hungate from the back line into the net, right back. Deflected over by Grohola. Grohola goes for the swing. A good dig by Hungate. Pushed towards the line and just out of bounds. Barely cleared that sideline. But the line judge was decisive. A point to St. Xavier. Score goes to 3-1 in favor of the visitors. First meeting of the year between these two teams. The only scheduled meeting this season. They could match up again in the conference tournament as the senior libero Ivana Martinez sends one straight into the net. Service error committed by Martinez. Brings the Saints to within 1. It was her 37th error on a serve this year. Set by Samantha Hovey, a good block by the Saints. Hungate digs it over the net. Nice play by Masana to keep it alive. Here's Jensen. Hit high into the air and off the back wall. That's out of bounds as Masana lunged for it. Couldn't keep the rally alive. Point to St. Xavier. Abby Opilka goes back to serve. Junior from Dyer, Indiana, just into the game. And sends it off with the right hand. Emma Rodriguez has it deflected. Teskey tried to tap it down, but a good play to keep it alive, and Hungate is unable to keep it alive for the Saints. It's the Cougars by 3, their biggest lead in the young game. Opilka back to serve again. Masana sets up Cadence Woodrich, deflected back the other way. Teskey goes over the blockers, and that's a point to St. Francis. Double hit against the Cougars. The Saints pull to within 2. Alyssa Teskey, sophomore right side hitter, has been awfully good for the Saints lately as she sends the serve away. The return goes out of bounds off the hand of Carrington Smith. Smith is a really impressive sophomore for St. Xavier. But an attacking error right there pulls the Saints to within 1. Now they're trying to tie it up for the first time. Jensen has it blocked, right back to Apilka. Jensen again sneaks it right into the corner, just out of the reach of a diving Ann Simon. And St. Xavier maintains their lead. They extended by 1 at 6-4. They scored the first 2 points and have neither tied nor trailed among the first 10 points of the game. Taylor Van, a sophomore from Oklahoma, comes back in to serve. Van to the back corner, and that is inbounds. Got the line. Kara Courier didn't think so. She's standing right on top of it, and she said that went out of bounds. Line judge disagreed, and it's an ace for Taylor Van. Very close call, but it goes the way of the Cougars. Off the hands of Simon and out of bounds. Another ace for Van. That's 2 in a row. Taylor Van had 19 aces this year. A good number, but 40 service errors. So serving has not necessarily been her specialty, but it has been so far tonight. A 4-point lead, the biggest yet for St. Xavier. Emma Rodriguez tries to cut into it. Played by the Cougars. Tara Glynn gets it over. Tapped back the other way. It's Rodriguez pushing it to the back line. Carrington Smith gets it over the blockers. Set up for Rodriguez. Slices out of bounds. 4 straight points for St. Xavier, and their lead is up to 5 now, 9-4. Another serve for Van. She's won 3 straight points. Teskey sets up Rodriguez. Played on the back line by Van. A hard hit ball by Tara Glynn, a little bit too hard as she sails it over the end line. Cougars snap that, rather the Saints snap the Cougars 4-0 run. Now it's Maya Broadway's turn to serve for the Fighting Saints. A little bit too far out in front of Smith, so it stays at the net. Chance for Glynn, deflected to the back line. Broadway sets up Hungate, blocked out of bounds by Smith. That's a point to the Saints. Good block initially by Smith, but she misdirected it off to the side. St. Francis has gotten back to within 3 points as Broadway serves again. Good hit from Samantha Hovey. And St. Xavier is the first to double digits in this opening set. A good showing to start today for a Cougars team that was shut down by Columbia on Saturday. Just 42 total points among those 3 sets. So to hit double digits first today is not a small deal. Get up into the air, deflected over the net, and it's down on the St. Francis side, so that's a point for the Cougars. Their lead is back up to 5. This match is their largest. Long way to go here in the opening set. Carrington Smith serves again. Teskey taps it over, but she went underneath it. So that's an illegal hit from Teskey, and it's a timeout called by Kara Courier. Her team trails 12-6. Courier in year number 24 as the head coach of the Fighting Saints. Not all that often that she runs into somebody who's been doing it longer here in the CCAC, but Bob Heersum is one guy who has 38 years as the head coach of the St. Xavier Cougars volleyball team, and he's got them playing well here late in year number 38. After today, just 2 more conference games remaining for St. Xavier. They're trying to get the number 2 spot in the CCAC. It's not officially official yet, but Viterbo's got the conference championship pretty much wrapped up. So it's a battle for the 2nd spot right now, and both St. Francis and St. Xavier are fighting for it. Trinity Christian is technically still in the running as well, but they're a few games out. And St. Francis knocked them off a couple of weeks ago here at home in straight sets, which really hurt their chances of getting the 2 seed in the conference tournament. So it'll likely come down to these 2, either St. Francis or St. Xavier, which means this match is going to have a lot to do with it. Serve for Smith, out of bounds. So the timeout is well taken by Kara Courier. It leads to a serving mishap from Smith, and it pulls the Saints to within 5 points. And Simon gets the serve. Up at the net, it's Hovey. Returned by the Fighting Saints. Hungate blocked, punched back in the air by Hungate. And Malaya Morris hits it over. Good block by St. Francis. Kirstein and Hungate up at the net. Able to deflect that one and pull the Saints to within 4 points. Another serve for Simon. Glynn is out of bounds. Too strong on the attack from Tara Glynn. Just a 3-point game. Tipped down by Delaney Kirstein. Another strong play at the net by Kirstein. One of a handful of impressive freshmen on this team. And this time, Bob Heersum calls a timeout. And St. Xavier will talk things, St. Francis will talk things over as well, though it's not their timeout. Cougars have led, and they're hitting an even 0 for the moment. So the Saints have crept back into it. We'll see if they're able to complete the comeback and wrest the lead away from St. Xavier. We're 22 points into this opening set. Cougars have led for every single one of those points. And Simons won 3 straight points on serves. Looking for her 4th in a row. Big hit from Samantha Hovey. And Hovey gets the Cougars back on the board. So each team has called 1 timeout, and both of them have come out of their timeout with a strong point. Cougars remain ahead. Teskey sets up Kirstein, played on the other side by Martinez. This time Teskey sets it over, good return. Hungate deflected and pushed out of bounds. Good sequence for the Fighting Saints. They trail by only 2 once again. Talia Masana comes back in. As Malaya Morris, who's been out there for a while, heads back towards the bench, and Masana sends her first serve over the line. An ill-timed service error against St. Francis. They've still been able to get themselves back into it, though, outscoring the Cougars 5-2 over the last 7 points. They had won 5 out of 6 prior to that mistake. And speaking of mistakes, each team misses on a serve back-to-back. Right back to where we started. 12 serving 14. It's Riley Hungate this time. And she hits it too hard. So 3 consecutive service errors, 2 on the Saints, 1 on the Cougars. St. Xavier is now just 10 points away from taking a 1-0 lead in the match. Ivana Martinez's serve goes to the back corner, and finally we've got a serve played by the other team. Tipped at the net, and that's going to St. Francis. The illegal touch from Delaney Panazzo. They're trading points now. And that'll work fine if it keeps up for St. Xavier because they do still have a multi-point lead. But the Fighting Saints have them back on their heels a little bit. Jensen. Teskey for the Saints. Returned by the Cougars. It's Jensen again. And another nice play by Delaney Kirstein. Alyssa Teskey finishes it off with a nice kill. The Saints are within 1. This is as close as it's been since it was 5-4. Now 15-14. And with a point here, the Saints can tie the score for the first time tonight. Panazzo. Awkward touch by Masana. Wasn't sure exactly how she wanted to play that. Got caught in between and it just deadened off her forearms. So St. Xavier does keep themselves in front. They have not trailed. They have not been tied since it was 0-0. After the Saints nearly tied it up there, it is a 2-point lead for the Cougars. Masana sets and Woodrich finishes it off. Again, the Saints are within 1. 15 serving 16. Serve from Teskey for the tie score. Returned by Carrington Smith. Hungate for Rodriguez. Awkward touch by Jensen and out of bounds. We're knotted up at 16. The Saints have come back from 6 points down. And for the first time today, we're tied. First time since this one started. Teskey with the left hand. Jensen looking to reclaim the lead. Has it played on the other end by Ann Simon. Rodriguez for the lead. Good dig on the other end. Another diving play by Katie DeHaan. She's had 2 great digs just in this sequence. Hovey tried to get it over, but she's called for the illegal formation for St. Xavier. And so the Saints, for the first time tonight, take the lead 17-16 here in the opening set. There's a set for Jensen. Returned by Morris, looking for her first point tonight. Carrington Smith sneaks it onto the line. Perfectly placed hit from Smith. She ties the score at 17. Taylor Van, who had a great run of serves earlier in this set, will try it again. First to 8 from this point on will win the opener. Out of bounds. Some miscommunication there by the Fighting Saints. And after trailing for the first time all night, St. Xavier has bounced right back with 2 points to take the lead. Van's been the best server tonight. Morris over to the back line and Van. Glynn taps it across, pushed the other way. Nice lunging play by Van to keep it alive. Glynn is blocked out of bounds. Point St. Xavier. Cougars are re-seizing control. In good shape to take a 1-0 lead. Teskey sets for Morris. That's blocked. Smith and Hovey right at the net to return that one. Cougars are on a 4-0 run. And they're just 5 points away from a win. Saints need a point, they've got it. Off the right hand of Cadence Woodrich. She found the soft spot in the St. Xavier defense. A much needed score for the Saints. And now Maya Broadway will try to make it 2 in a row. Set for Smith, and another point for Carrington Smith. Second kill tonight for Smith. And now she gets to serve. Hungates deflected and down. A point for Riley Hungates. Saints needed it. They can ill afford to go down by more than 3 at this stage of the set. They were down by as many as 6 points earlier, but they clawed their way back without the benefit of a big run. They just played well over an extended period and were able to chip away. Morris is able to get it over. Nice recovery by the Saints. Free ball here for the Cougars. Glynn hits it out of bounds over the back line. The Saints are within 1, 20 serving 21. Another big point coming up, this one for the tie. Opilka for Van, deflected out of bounds, a point for Taylor Van. And a huge one, Hovey rather, not Van. Samantha Hovey gets the huge point. St. Xavier's back in the driver's seat. They need to hold off St. Francis for just a little bit longer. Here's Glynn, blocked, right back to Martinez. Another chance for St. Xavier. Panazzo hits it over. Good chance for the Saints. Morris. Good hit, but a nice dig by Hovey. Another chance for the Saints. Teskey sets for Hungates. Goes soft, and a great diving play by Martinez keeps it alive. Morris this time. Another diving play by Martinez. It's Hungates. And again, Martinez makes the play. Finally hit into the net by Tara Glynn after an incredible sequence that saw Ivana Martinez make play after play defensively. The Saints come away with the big one. 21-22 is our score. St. Francis has the serve, so they trail by 1. Down by as many as 6. They came from behind to take a 1-point lead. Just one time, they were up 17-16. And then St. Xavier wrestled it away once again. So we'll see what these last few points have in store for us, but it's looking like a very strong possibility that this is going to be a 2-point game, one way or the other. What an exciting start to this best-of-5 evening. Both teams coming off of a loss. St. Francis's volleyball side trying to do their best to avenge the rest of the sports here. It's been a rough couple of weeks against St. Xavier. Cougars in the last 14 days have beaten the Saints at men's soccer, women's soccer, and football. Volleyball is trying to be the outlier. Take down the Cougars here. Looking to open up a 1-0 lead. Saints still have one timeout. The Cougars are out of them. Serve belongs to Talia Masana, and it's too short. Second service error of the night on Masana. This is a critical one. The Cougars have that all-important 2-point lead coming down to the wire. The serve goes to Katie DeHaan. Masana sets for Teskey, out of bounds. Nope, it was deflected. Sorry, I didn't see the tip. But it was tipped by St. Xavier. And so the point goes to the Saints. 22 serving 23. Cougars have led pretty much the whole way. I mentioned St. Francis had tied it once, or took a lead once. That was also the only time they were able to work their way back to a tie score. Trying to tie it up again here. Simon chases it down, and Rodriguez can't catch up. Set point for the Cougars. Saints need at least 2 points in a row to stay alive. It's Ivana Martinez. Teskey trying to keep the Saints in the game. Diving play by Panazzo. Good set from Masana, and Kirstein finishes it off. The Saints are back within one. Well, I said it looked like it was going to be a 2-point set. That's exactly what we're going to see here, one way or the other. Second consecutive set point for the Cougars. Saints trying to stay alive with their freshman, Delaney Kirstein, serving. Panazzo for the win. Got it. Delaney Panazzo drops it right in front of Delaney Kirstein. And we are done with set number one. St. Xavier off to a good start. They lead the Saints 1-0 after a 25-23 victory. Quick break for me. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'll get you some stats from the first set and get you ready to go with number two. Cougars take the opener. St. Xavier took the opening set 25-23. Saints will try to get them back here in set number 2. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for tonight's big CCAC match. These two teams tied in the loss column for second place in the conference right now, as we'll get some first game stats. Saints had a better hitting percentage, 102 to 036. Cougars made a lot of mistakes as that set went on. They ended up with 10 attacking errors. The Saints had just 5 of them. Cougars, though, also had 12 kills to 10. Their leader was Samantha Hovey with 4. Jenny Jensen had 3, 2 apiece from Carrington Smith and Delaney Panazzo, who had the game clincher. For St. Francis, Alyssa Teskey led the team with 3 kills, 2 apiece for Riley Hungate, Delaney Kirstein, and Cadence Woodrich. 9 digs for Ann Simon. For St. Xavier, 11 digs for Ivana Martinez, including some really impressive ones late in key moments. Assist leaders for St. Francis, Talia Masana with 5. For St. Xavier, Abby Apilka with 5. Here we go. Set number 2 is underway. The Cougars serve first this time. Riley Hungate looking for the first point. Diving play made by Van. Hungate again, and again Van thwarts her. This time it's set up for Teskey. It's blocked. Hungate's too strong. Out of bounds and a point to St. Xavier, who has trailed just once so far today. It was at 17-16 in the opening set. Other than that, they've been ahead the whole way. Samantha Hovey, number 7 for St. Xavier, back to serve for the first time in this game. Second time, actually. Knocked out of bounds. That's an ace for Hovey. St. Xavier, St. Francis, both wearing white today. I don't think I've ever seen that. Cougars must not have gotten the memo. I think usually the away team is asked to change. They're wearing the same colors. Simon to Masana, and Kirstein finishes it off. Delaney Kirstein had the final kill for the Saints in game 1. She's got the first kill of game 2, so 2 in a row for her. She's got 3 so far on the evening. Riley Hungate's serve goes into the net. Hungate has been the best offensive player this year for St. Francis. Came into play today with over 300 points in the season. 26 matches played overall. She's struggled so far tonight. Teskey kicked to stay alive by Hovey, but they can't get it over on 3 hits. Hovey may have missed her calling. She should have been on the soccer team. It was a pretty well-controlled kick. Towards the sideline, Jensen keeps it alive. Rodriguez down for the kill. Second kill of the night for Emma Rodriguez, who had 1 of them in the opening set. Knotted up at 3. We'll see if the Saints can take their second lead of the night. Another serve from Kirstein. Panazzo goes up. And Teskey hits it into the net. Four 3 Cougars. The serve goes to Martinez. Panazzo, good hit. Nice dig by Masana. Teskey's blocked. Out of bounds. No tip from St. Francis. That ties the score at 4. Just missed, being a really good block. Instead, it's out of bounds. And the Saints get another chance to take the lead. Off the hands of Jensen and out of bounds. Dahan made a run at it. Line judge was in her way. I don't think she would have gotten to it anyway. St. Francis has their first lead of the second set. They never led by more than one in the opener, which makes it difficult to win. You got to be up by 2 at some point. See if they can do that here. Out of bounds. We're tied. That's the 4th service error of the match committed by a Fighting Saint, which is not where they'd like to be right now, but even more so because they don't have any aces. St. Xavier's committed 3 service errors, but they've also got 3 aces, so it all levels out. That's out of bounds. The Saints chased it, both Rodriguez and Simon. We're watching it the whole way, just barely decided at the last instant to let it go. It almost got the line, just missed it. And so the Saints get the point and the lead. Serve from Maya Broadway. Hungate nails it right off of Abby Apilka. And that's a big kill for Riley Hungate. Good defense from Apilka in that she defended herself from the ball. Didn't really have a play to make, but she's not injured. There's a nice play at the net by Cadence Woodrich. Saints are on a roll. They lead it by 3 now, 8-5. After trailing 2-0, they've scored 8 of the last 11 points. Soft serve by Broadway, a little too soft. She tried to loft it right over the net. Instead, it lands right in the middle of the net. 5th service error of the match for the Fighting Saints. That might be the biggest advantage right now for St. Xavier. Serve from Van is too hard. So there's her first service error of the night after 3 aces from her. She's had a great night serving until then. Saints lead is back up to 3, and Ann Simon goes to serve from the left side. Pushed over by Teskey and down. Van made a diving attempt for it. She was the only one near that ball, and she couldn't come up with it. Alyssa Teskey extends the lead to 4. Van knocks it up. Hovey hits it over. Malaya Morris gets it across. And a big hit from Carrington Smith brings it home for St. Xavier. Seven serving 10. Cougars led just about start to finish in the opening set as they hung on for a 25-23 win. They're trying to play comeback this time around. Down by as many as 4. Morris, played by Smith. Here's Hungate, that's blocked. Another chance for Hungate, and this time she drops it in there. Van tried to lean forward to play it, but a little bit too much heat on the swing from Riley Hungate, who came into play today 4th in the conference in kills. She has one right here. That's out of bounds on the attack, but it was deflected. So Samantha Hovey gets the point for St. Xavier. serve from Hovey. Good deflection by the Cougars. They keep it alive on the third hit. Glynn gets it across. Chance for Teskey. Martinez is there to play it. Out of bounds on the attack from Tara Glynn. Glynn's had some problems. That's her 5th attacking error tonight. It extends St. Francis's lead back to 4. This match is the biggest. It's been at 4 a handful of times already. Hungate's serve goes to the back line. Rodriguez. Diving play by Martinez, and the Cougars can't get it over. St. Francis extends their lead. It'll be 14 serving 9 on the other side of a timeout called by Bob Hierzema. 14-9. St. Francis has the lead. Saints are hitting it well. .263 hitting percentage so far in this second set. They've got 7 kills already, only 2 attacking errors. They've made far fewer errors overall than St. Xavier has tonight. The one exception to that has been on the serves, which I've already talked about a little bit, though the Saints did pick up their first ace of the night just a few moments ago. So they've got 1 in that column, 6 serving errors. It's 4 and 5 on the serves for St. Xavier, but they're almost doubling up the Fighting Saints when it comes to attacking errors, 13 of them, whereas the Saints have just 7. Alyssa Teskey leads the way right now with 5 kills. Same number for Samantha Hovey, who obviously is at the top for St. Xavier. The Saints eagerly return to the floor. They took some momentum late in the opening set after trailing by 6 early on. They fought back, they tied it, they took a lead briefly, ended up falling by 2 points. But it seemed like the confidence they gained as that set went on has helped them into this second set. Riley Hungate serves, leading by 5 points. Rodriguez to the back line. Another chance for the Saints. It's Teskey. Blocked. Right back to Alyssa Teskey. And Rodriguez hits it into the net. A miss hit by Emma Rodriguez will go down as too many hits for St. Francis. That pulls the Cougars within 4. Good block, Jensen and Nicole Grohola, who we have not seen a lot of tonight, come up with the block there. Grahola's been a key player all year for the Cougars. 3rd on the team in blocks. She has one right there. This thing's tightening up. Jensen, nice lean from Hungate. Emma Rodriguez slices it out of bounds. So it is 14-11. St. Francis has the lead. The scoreboard was off by a point a little bit earlier, but it did get corrected. So it's a 3-point game. And now it's a 2-point game as Kirstein's attempt goes right into the net. 14-12. Right around the same time of the game that St. Francis made their run last time. This time it's St. Xavier making a push. Rodriguez keeps it in bounds. Dahan, awkward touch, but it is chased down by Ivana Martinez. And Panazzo and Hovey run into one another, creating a misplay. No chance to get it over. Big point for the Fighting Saints. trying to right the ship after they had been pulling away. And then St. Xavier went on a run to stop that. Jensen is blocked. Cadence Woodrich and Alyssa Teskey up at the net. Big night so far for Teskey. 16-12, St. Francis. Hovey sets up Panazzo, and Panazzo's got the kill. It's 6'3" tall. It just seems easy for Panazzo. I don't think it is. She doesn't have to jump too high to get herself over the net, put herself in position to make the hit. She's also going to be playing on the St. Xavier basketball team, I believe, this winter. Another strong hit from Alyssa Teskey. Her solid night continues. St. Francis's lead continues. It's at 4. Morris is in for Masana. Teskey gets the serve. Blocked at the net, Cadence Woodrich, leading blocker this season for St. Francis. Timeout is called, 18-13. St. Xavier uses up their final timeout of this set. They need to make a run in a hurry if they want to make a game of this. The Saints are trying to even up the match at 1 win apiece. St. Xavier came into play today at 12-3 in conference. St. Francis is 10-3. So technically the Cougars are ahead. But even in the loss column, which is most important, another thing that is important, because St. Xavier's 2 games ahead of them in terms of games played, they're down to their final 2 conference matches after today. St. Francis still has 4 more after today, and one of those 4 is against Viterbo. Viterbo is one of the top 15 teams in the country and has not lost yet this year in the CCAC. So that's going to be a really tough one. St. Xavier's already done with the V-Hawks. They played them last month. Well, I guess technically earlier this month, but I think of it as last month as we get so near the end of October. It's not November yet. Alyssa Teskey serves out of the timeout. Smith's hit goes out of bounds. The Saints match their biggest lead at 6. And now they need just 6 more points to be sitting in the winner's chair. Panazzo deflected and down. Delaney Panazzo pulls the Cougars within 5. The serve goes to Abby Apilka. Morris out of bounds. Returned out by St. Xavier, so Malaya Morris gets St. Francis a point. Saints are now just 5 away. Trying to turn this into a best of 3. Good swing from Jenny Jensen. Jensen gets the Cougars back on the board. Transfer to her hometown school after her original CCAC school, Cardinal Stritch, shut down, but did grow up in Chicago's south suburbs. There's the serve from Van. Morris to the back line and Van. Good deflection. Riley Hungate gets it in bounds. Ariel Hoskin heads out for St. Xavier. She and Carolina Cosme both just came on for the first time tonight. Trying to stave off the Fighting Saints in the second set, but as of now, the Saints are in good shape to even up the match. Hungate for Teskey. Nice save by Taylor Van. But out of bounds on the hit from Hovey. Saints lead is up to 7, and they are on their way. Just 3 points off. Danica Bowden checks in for the Cougars. First time she's been out there. Service error against Ann Simon. Cougars are still alive. Hungate, played by Carrington Smith. Bowden's first swing is returned by Ann Simon. And Morris gets it in bounds, just inside that back line. A good hit from Malaya Morris, who's got a couple of kills to her name now. She heads out. Masana comes back in, and it'll be Masana's chance to serve. Good block by the Saints, but the Cougars keep it alive. Cosme bumps it over. Hungate, good hit. Riley Hungate sets up the first of what could be as many as 8 set points. Saints trying to take this second set convincingly after very narrowly dropping number 1. Kirstein for the win. Martinez allows the rally to continue. Hungate, cross court, played by Ivana Martinez. Nice diving play by Masana, but it's knocked out of bounds by the Saints. And we will play on in set 2. Still up to 7 more set points for the Fighting Saints. Masana for Kirstein, out of bounds. Just missed that line. The Cougars keep themselves alive for at least 1 point more. Hungate for Broadway. Broadway hits it over. Good chance for the Cougars to have a big hit. It is Cosme dropping it just out of the reach of a diving Ann Simon. 3 points in a row for St. Xavier. I think this is the best run they've gone on in this second game. They're not dead yet, close to it. They still need to score 5 more points in a row, so they need to make it 8 straight to keep the game alive. Hungate for the win, out of bounds. 4 straight points for St. Xavier, and the Saints decide to call timeout. This one appeared to be in the bag just moments ago. It still probably is, but it's not a done deal. To ask anybody to score 8 consecutive points just to stay in the set is a pretty tall order. But the Saints, who had been cruising, have played their most mistake-filled volleyball over the last couple of points. We've seen 2 attacking errors over the course of this 4-point run for St. Xavier. 8 now for the set for the Fighting Saints. They're still hitting it at a 122 rate, way better than St. Xavier's negative 029. But a couple of bad hits in a row, really 3 bad hits in a row. Coming out of the timeout, still set point for the Saints. Another chance for the win. It's Hungates. And returned just inside the line by St. Xavier. A little flick inside that sideline. Impressive play. 5 in a row for the Cougars. Teske is blocked, kept in the air though. Hungates doesn't secure it yet. A block, but it is played by Ivana Martinez. Chance now for the Saints. Teske pushes it over and down. Saints win it, 25-21. It was not easy in the end. 5 straight points for St. Xavier. Made this one a lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. But a win's a win. And the Saints pick it up. 25-21, we are tied at 1 now. So the Cougars took the opener 25-23. Saints take number 2 by double that margin, 25-21. Break time for me. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. We'll have set number 3 coming up. We're tied here in Joliet. Third set coming up. We're tied 1-1. St. Francis just won 25-21 after St. Xavier took the first set 25-23. Some updated stats for you. Saints have a 117 hitting percentage to 021 for St. Xavier. 47 digs for both sides. Saints have 3 blocks. The Cougars have 2. Assists are 22-17 in favor of St. Francis. They've got 24 kills to the Cougars 19. Individual leaders, Alyssa Teskey has 8 kills. Riley Hungate has 6 to lead everybody. Samantha Hovey is tops for St. Xavier with 5 of them. 16 digs for Ann Simon, 10 for Riley Hungate, who is well on her way to another double-double. Ivana Martinez leads the Cougars with 15 digs, 10 of them for Taylor Van. Talia Masana leads everybody with 11 assists right now, as set number 3 is underway on a Riley Hungate serve. Saints looking to take the 1-0 lead. Teskey's hit is deflected to the back line, and Hovey. Cosme skims the top of the net. It's out of bounds. Rodriguez reached for that. Looked like she was trying to hit it, but she wasn't able to. Of course, if she had, it probably would have been a ball that would have landed in bounds. The reason she couldn't get to it is because it landed out. It was just out of her reach. So the first point to St. Francis, the second to St. Xavier, as Hungate sends it into the net. Riley Hungate commits her 3rd service error of the night. 8 of them overall for the Saints and just 1 ace. Delaney Panazzo is the server for the Cougars. Teskey taps it over and down in bounds. A point to Alyssa Teskey. St. Francis takes the 2-1 lead as we go back and forth over the first few points of this one. The freshman Delaney Kirstein gets the serve. Masana for Rodriguez. Martinez plays it on the other end. Good block by the Fighting Saints. Just inside the corner, a hit from Carolina Cosme. And Cosme has her first kill, tying the score at 2. She appeared briefly at the end of the second set and had 1 kill. Now has 1 in the third as well. Katie DeHaan gets the serve away. It drifted a little bit on Hungate. Chance for Carrington Smith, but it's deflected back the other way. Bumped over by Hungate. Smith, a diving effort from Hungate. Nice play to keep it alive. That's inbounds on the hit from Jensen. Good defense throughout that rally from St. Francis, but in the end, they're not able to get the point out of it. Good, strong finish from the Cougars. They take a 3-2 lead, and the Saints bring in Maura Babisco for the first time. Chance for the Saints, but it got away from Cadence Woodrich, and it turns into an easy kill for St. Xavier. Samantha Hovey just waited back on that one and fired it over, her second straight point. Saints a little out of sorts right now, but they were able to keep that play alive. Jensen over to Babisco. Teskey taps it out of bounds. Saints led pretty much start to finish in game 2, after the Cougars led pretty much start to finish in game 1. And it is the Cougars here again in the third set, jumping out to an early multi-point lead. Smith to the back line, out of bounds. A mistake by the Cougars, and the Saints needed it because St. Xavier was playing with some good momentum. Going back to the last set, they had outscored the Saints 10-3 over the previous 13 points prior to that attacking error. Laser beam off the hand of Smith. It's returned by Simon, but off the ceiling. And so it's dead. It can hit the ceiling or the rafters. Didn't quite make it all the way up to the ceiling. It can and stay on your side, but once it goes over the net, the play is blown dead. Morris deflected out of bounds. A point from Elia Morris. So St. Xavier's lead is down to 2. Maya Broadway comes in to serve. Out of bounds on the attack. Couple of attacking errors in quick succession from St. Xavier. Oh, not that one though. Sorry, that was deflected out. It is a point for the Cougars. My mistake. Another kill for Samantha Hovey. She's on a roll. Hovey's already doubled her kills total. She had 4 in the first 2 sets. She's got 4 after the first 11 points of this set. And you can add an ace to her total as well. 9 points in the match for Hovey. And the Cougars have their biggest lead of this set. Their biggest lead of the entire night has been 6. Saints have had a lead of as big as 8. And that's a double hit on St. Xavier. It pulls the Saints to within 3 points. St. Francis serve. Big third set. 2 teams tied 1-1. In a match with huge CCAC standings implications. Jensen's hit is deflected. It's Broadway setting up Morris. And Morris finishes it off. The freshman is playing well tonight. One of a number of key freshmen for this St. Francis team. She's got her second kill of this set. Nearly got away from the Cougars there. Hungates, perfect hit. Just out of the reach of Samantha Hovey. 3 straight points for the Fighting Saints. They have pulled to within 1. Serve from Simon is out of bounds. So serving continues to be problem number 1 for St. Francis tonight. You take that one element out of it, they've really been outplaying St. Xavier in this match. The serve belongs to Taylor Van. She's had a nice night doing just that, serving. Hungates was not deflected. That's out of bounds. An attacking error on Hungate. St. Xavier extends their lead to 3. Broadway calls for it, sets up Simon, who knocks it over. Cosme to the back line and Simon. It's Morris looking for the point, and it's out of bounds. Cougars back on a roll after the Saints had scored 3 straight points. the Cougars respond with 3 straight of their own, and they match their biggest lead of this set at 4 points. 11-7 as the Fighting Saints call for their first time out. Nice bounce back so far for St. Xavier after they struggled to get any kind of momentum in set number 2. I don't know if the way they ended that set had anything to do with the way they started this one, but they did score 5 of the last 6 points last set, even though they ultimately fell. And then they got off to a really strong start in this one, which tells me that maybe there's something to that they were starting to feel a little bit better about the way they were playing and were able to carry it over, but who knows for sure. What we do know for sure is that they're in good position. Long way to go, of course, in this third game, but they continue to lead the way. Taylor Van goes back to serve. Hungate gets it over. Cosme blocked and off the hand of Martinez, out of bounds. A point to St. Francis. Coming out of the timeout, they're back on the board, down by 3. Here's the serve from Masana. Rahola drops it over the hands of Riley Hungate and puts the Cougars back ahead by 4. Serve goes to Ivana Martinez, senior libero from Puerto Rico. Nice lunging play by her. Ava Winterstein had the hit for St. Xavier, and the Saints can't return to this. Hungate knocks it over the sideline and out of bounds. Martinez gets another serve. 5-point lead now. Hungate, nice diving play by Winterstein. Another chance for Hungate. A great diving play made by Martinez to keep it alive. Winterstein taps it over. Here's Cosme, deflected out of bounds. A point for Carolina Cosme. And St. Xavier's lead is 6, 14-8. This match is the biggest lead they've had all night. If St. Francis wants to go on a run, now would seem like the time to do it. Teske is blocked. Cosme hits it out of bounds. Saints needed that one. They might need a few more in a row here just to put themselves back in contention. But they definitely needed that. Falling behind 15-8 would have been tough to overcome. Maura Babasco gets her serve. Smith, good play by Masana. Emma Rodriguez. Carrington Smith again. This time it's Teske playing it. Set for Rodriguez, it's blocked. Teske again, pushes across. Hovey there to make the play on defense. Winterstein cuts it across court. Masana reaches for it to keep play alive. Good rally. Cosme is blocked, and again, defense keeps it going for St. Xavier. Teske hits it out of bounds. After a great back and forth, it ends on a simple miss hit from Melissa Teske. And the Cougars' lead is right back to 6. Abby Opilka comes in for the serve. Kirstein, good hit off the feed from Masana. Saints are within 5. 10 serving 15. It'll be Delaney Kirstein's serve. Smith, poked out of bounds by the Saints. A point for Carrington Smith and the St. Xavier University Cougars. They've been able to keep their distance from the Fighting Saints in this set. Still a 6-point game. Katie DeHaan gets the serve away. Returned by Cadence Woodrich right off the hands of DeHaan. A little too low for her. Good hit by Woodrich. And here we go now, back and forth. Cougars can do this all night. Play the trading points game. The Saints can't. They need to go on a run of a few points in a row. Rodriguez helps them to a second consecutive point. We'll see if they can make it 3 in a row. Nice hit by Emma Rodriguez. 12 serving 16. Alyssa Teskey lofts it over. Here's Jensen. And a good hit by Jenny Jensen. St. Xavier back on the board. Serve belongs to Carrington Smith. Saints are able to return it. Jensen trying to make it 2 in a row, and she does. 2 straight points for Jenny Jensen, 2 straight points for the Cougars. They lead 18-12. Here's the serve once again from Smith, her 3rd in a row. And a nice return by Woodrich. Saints are keeping themselves alive, not letting St. Xavier pull away, but neither have they been able to take a sizable chunk out of this lead. They're starting to run out of time, so a big sequence coming up. The freshman Broadway sends the serve away. Jensen. Awkward touch by Ann Simon. Another point for Jenny Jensen. She's been on quite a run of late for St. Xavier. Jensen's now got 7 kills overall tonight. 3 of them have come in this 3rd set. Out of bounds on the serve. Saints catch a break there. A miss serve from St. Xavier. It's 14 serving 19. 1-1. The match is tied. A couple of close, hard-fought sets so far. 25-23. St. Xavier won the first. St. Francis then took the second, 25-21. This one is shaping up to be a similarly close score. Hungate's big swing is stopped. And on the last possible hit, St. Xavier gets it over. Diving play by Ivana Martinez. Jensen, this time knocks it out of bounds. It is deflected. Another point for Jensen. Her 8th kill, 4 of them in this set. Kirstein's able to tap it over for the Saints. Cougars send it back the other way. Winterstein's ball is returned. Cosme blocked right back to her. Cosme again. Here's Malaya Morris. And a little miscommunication from St. Xavier. Nobody there to play it. Saints get the point. Talia Masana gets the serve, trailing by 5. It's a good serve, but St. Xavier's able to get it back across. Hovey sets up Cosme. Simon from the back line. Here's Hungates. Good diving play made by Van. Hungates. Cosme hits it off the hand of Ann Simon and out of bounds. That was a misplay by Simon. Looked like the ball was going out of bounds regardless, and she just couldn't keep her hand away from it. St. Xavier's lead is up to 6. Cougars are playing much sharper volleyball here in the third set. They've cut down considerably on the unforced errors. They've taken advantage of a few of them committed by St. Francis. Carrington Smith puts the Cougars up by 7. It's their biggest lead of the entire match, and it leads to a Kara Courier timeout. 22-15, St. Xavier in the driver's seat in set number 3 as they try to take a big 2-1 lead overall. Cougars are hitting it at a 191 percentage in this third set. And like I said, that's significantly up from where they were in the first two. They were at just 0-21 combined for the first 2 sets. Not only have they cut down on the number of errors from 10 in the first set all the way down to 5 in this one. 14 kills. They had 19 combined in the first 2 sets, 14 of them here in this one, as the Saints have been held to just 9 kills. So clearly the numbers favor St. Xavier in this one, but it's obvious enough to begin with when you look at the score. 7-point lead for the Cougars. Not over yet, but they're in good shape to take a 2-1 lead. And that would, of course, would force the Fighting Saints to win 2 consecutive sets to wrap it up. Both sides are ready to go. Ivana Martinez will serve for the Cougars. Needing just 3 points to come away with a victory. Celeste Zavala is in for the Fighting Saints. She got a touch there as Riley Hungate finished it off. Saints hanging around, down by 6. Maura Babisco in to serve. Carrington Smith knocks it in for St. Xavier. We've seen Jenny Jensen with a good run of kills here in this third set. Samantha Hovey had a run. She had 4, I think, of her team's first 7 points. Might have been 5 out of 8 at one point. But lately it's been Carrington Smith who's taken over. Abby Apilka gets the serve. Smith looking for another. She's got it. Set point for the Cougars. And they'll have as many as 8 of these. They're up by 8 points, 24-16. This was the score going the other way in the second set, and the Cougars scored 5 in a row. Saints can't do the same. off the hand of Celeste Zavala, and it's an ace to wrap up a third set victory for St. Xavier. 25-16, the final score. Far and away the most dominant victory of our night so far. And it takes us to set number 4. St. Francis looking for a win to keep this thing alive. St. Xavier trying to wrap it up right here. We'll have the 4th set in just a moment. I'll step aside in the meantime. 2-1 Cougars. Fourth set coming up. It'll be the final one if St. Xavier wins. St. Francis trying to get to 25 first and force a winner-take-all fifth set. Looking at some of the stats right now. Melissa Teskey leads everybody with 9 kills. Riley Hungate has 8. The Saints did not attack quite as well in that third set, though, as they did in the first two. Just 10 team kills compared to the 14 they had in the second set. Leaders for St. Xavier are Samantha Hovey, Carrington Smith, and Jenny Jensen. Each of them have 8 kills. The rest of the team has only 11. In fact, those 3 players are hitting a combined 225. Everybody else on the team is at minus 041. So those 3 players have kept St. Xavier afloat and put them on the precipice of victory as we are underway in the fourth set. Saints are just barely able to get it over, and a couple of Cougars run into one another, leading to a St. Francis point. Van and Winterstein almost collided. And a ball that barely stayed alive for St. Francis ends up resulting in their first point. So a good start to this one for the Saints. They lead 1-0. And Alyssa Teskey gets the serve. Smith's hit is deflected to the back line, and Simon. And Morris sends it over everybody's head and over the back line. Out of bounds on the attack, tying the score at 1. Abby Apilka gets the serve for the Cougars. Here's Morris, a little bit behind her, but she cannot keep it alive, tapping it into the net. And the Cougars take their first lead of this 4th set. They were in control in the 3rd. They never really were threatened at all. Pulled away at the end to a 9-point victory. The 25-16 win was their largest lead, the final margin of the entire match. Carolina Cosme, played by the Saints. It's Morris. And a nice hit by Morris, diving. Ivana Martinez can't keep it alive. We're tied at 2. Maya Broadway's turn to serve. Freshman out of Plainfield Central High School, where she and Malaya Morris were teammates. Morris getting a lot of play today with Jenna Wasco out. Out of bounds on the hit from the Cougars. The Saints are back in front, 3 serving 2. Broadway serves it to Taylor Van. Carrington Smith looking for the point. She's got it. A good night for Carrington Smith continues. She is just 1 kill away now from double figures. Serve belongs to Katie DeHaan. Morris deflected straight down. That's a point for Morris and a point for the Fighting Saints. Two sides are alternating early on in this one as the Saints reclaim a 1-point lead. Hovey's ball deflected up into the air, but not up there long enough for Broadway to come in and make a play on it as it drops on St. Francis' side for a Cougars point. We're knotted up at 4. Carrington Smith serve. Drilled right into the net by Morris. And on the attacking error, the Cougars reclaim a 1-point lead. Back to Smith, the 5'11" tall sophomore out of Marion Catholic High School. Leading point scorer for St. Xavier this year, but she scores one for the Saints right there. A serve into the net. I've made a big point all night about issues on serves. The Saints have had more of them than the Cougars have. Through the first 3 sets, Cougars were even. 6 errors, 6 aces. Saints were at -8. In a match in which they had been outscored by 7 points total. Teskey replayed on the other end. Teskey again, this time just out of the reach of a diving Opilka. And Alyssa Teskey has her 10th kill of the night. It's the Saints by 1, needing a win to stay alive. They fell in 4 sets the last time they played here at home a week ago today. It was their last match overall against the upstart Titans of Indiana South Bend. Teske, nice response. Punched over by Hungates. And not this time. 4 hits on the Saints. Close call. They were in scramble mode there twice in a row. Nearly got it over both times, but it is a point to the Cougars. Samantha Hovey's serve. Off the side of Broadway's arm. She and Simon both went after it. Two of them not on the same page, and it leads to St. Xavier scoring and taking the lead. Martinez passes for Jensen, and Jensen curves it around the wrong end of the antenna. That's out of bounds. We're tied at 7. We've been tied more often than not in this 4th set so far. Here comes Maura Babisco to serve. Jensen deflected back out of bounds, just barely out of bounds. Almost got that line. It would have given St. Francis a 1-point lead. Instead, St. Xavier takes a 1-point lead. And Taylor Van goes to serve. Rodriguez, lunging play made by Ivana Martinez. Kirstein. Nice recovery by the Cougars. The rally continues. Cosme gets it into the corner. St. Xavier fired up, not just because of the strong hit by Cosme, but the defense that set it up, keeping that volley going. The Cougars take their biggest lead of this 4th set, 9-7. We've been trading points this whole way. Finally a 2-point lead. Rodriguez, too strong, out of bounds. Timeout called by St. Francis, trailing 10-7 with their backs against the wall. They need a win here to force a 5th set, and they had the lead, but St. Xavier has scored 4 consecutive points, and with a long way still to go, they find themselves trailing by their largest deficit of the set so far. So Kara Courier wants to make sure that she slows down this Cougars attack, gives her team a chance to bounce back and make a run right now. There's plenty of time, but no time like the present. Cougars stay hot after picking up a match-high 16 kills in the 3rd set. They've got another 5 already in this one. Jensen is the first player on the Cougars in double figures with 10 kills. Alyssa Teske became the first Saint in double figures a little while ago with 10 kills. She's also got 11 digs. So a double-double for Teske today. Hungate may join her. She's got 11 digs. And she's currently sitting at 8 kills. Hungate this season averages right around 3.16 kills per set. Rodriguez gets it in there. Knocked underneath the net by Grohola. So a point to St. Francis. Big one coming out of the timeout. They trail by just 2. Here's Grohola again. Soft spot on the defense. Good hit between Masana and Kirstein. Hasn't been a huge night for Nicole Grohola statistically. That is her third kill, though. And it gives St. Xavier a 3-point lead, nearing the halfway point of this fourth set. Teskey, played on the other end by Hovey. And a nice block at the net. Teskey and Woodrich are both there. The Saints are within 2. Cougars today have just 2 blocks. Saints have 5. So big advantage for St. Francis in that department. Punched out of bounds by Winterstein. It's a 1-point game. I guess that block stat, though, is generally true. St. Francis has been better in that category all year than St. Xavier has. We've got a timeout called by the Cougars as they continue to lead, but their 3-point advantage is down to just 1 point now at 11-10. Fighting Saints are trying to avoid a second consecutive defeat, something that hasn't happened to them since October 10th and 11th when they fell to Viterbo and, that was, I got the wrong schedule. That was St. Xavier who lost those two. As October 3rd and 4th for St. Francis, they dropped 2 in a row to Indiana Wesleyan and Stevens. What's important to remember about that is that those were non-conference matches. They have not lost back-to-back matches to CCAC opponents since the first week, or rather the second week of September. Both of these teams got off to slow starts. Saints at one point were 1-5. Since then, 13-7. The Cougars started this year 1-4, and they were 13-3 over their last 16 matches. Nice block again, the 6th of the night for St. Francis. That time it was Morris up at the net along with Woodrich, and we're knotted up at 11. First time we've been tied since it was 7-all. Alyssa Teskey gets the serve. Carrington Smith tries to put her team back in front, and she does on the block. Didn't get it on that initial swing. It was returned, but she was right back at the net to make it 12-11 St. Xavier. Abby Apilka serves out of bounds. Maura Babisco let it go. Proved to be the right decision. We're tied again. 12-12. As Broadway comes in to serve to try to put St. Francis back in front. 6-5 is the last time they've had the lead. Big hit from Carrington Smith. She drills it in there. And it's the Cougars who reach the halfway point first. Woodrich. Played on the other side by Ariel Hoskin, and it's down from Jensen. Cougars back up by 2. Big hit from Malaya Morris. She went high for that one. And no response from St. Xavier. Morris continues a strong night. That's her 8th kill this evening. Saints can tie it up right here. Good serve from Simon. DeHaan was able to get under it. Diving play by Broadway, and the Saints keep the rally alive. Here's Jensen, deflected. Good defense by the Saints. Teske sets it over. Martinez there to make the play. Smith goes soft. Teske punches it into the air. Another big hit from Carrington Smith. After a great rally, Smith cleans it up, and St. Xavier's lead is back to 2. Smith serves. Morris looking for her 9th kill, nearly had it. Instead, Jensen returns it. Broadway there with the dig. Hungates, nice hit, Riley Hungates. Trying to come to life late, Riley Hungate, who leads the team, 4th in the conference in kills. It's had a rough night at times, but despite that, she still put up some good numbers, 9 kills. To go along with her 12 digs. Out of bounds, and they cannot keep it going. Samantha Hovey lunged for it near the St. Xavier seats, but she comes up empty. We're tied at 15, and we're playing up to 10 the rest of the way here in the 4th set. St. Xavier leads 2-1. St. Xavier tries to get it over. They do. Good play at the net from St. Francis. The free ball for the Cougars. Grohola off the hands of Alyssa Teske and out of bounds. Nicole Grohola has her 4th kill. St. Xavier is again in front, 16-15. The Saints have not had a 2-point lead at any point. Lead's gone back and forth several times, but it's been so close. Somebody's going to have to win by 2. Jensen, played by Broadway. Teske, blocked. Cougars weren't doing a whole lot at the net through the first 3 sets. That is starting to change. That's their 2nd block of this set, after they had just 2 in the first 3 total. That's the 2nd solo block of the night for Jenny Jensen. Winterstein goes a little bit too hard and out of bounds. An attacking error on the sophomore Ava Winterstein pulls the Fighting Saints to within 1 point. And Maura Babisco serves at this critical moment in the 4th set. Jensen to the back line and Simon. Battle at the net, pushed over by Rodriguez. Good block by the Saints, kept alive. Jensen again, another deflection. Masana to Babisco to Emma Rodriguez. Last hit for the Cougars, and they do get it over and inbounds. Kirstein, played by Martinez. Good rally. And it ends with a Jensen kill. St. Xavier by 2. 18 serving 16. It's Taylor Van. Teske is blocked. Right back to Talia Masana. Rodriguez is able to slip it in there, just out of the reach of Carolina Cosme. Every time that St. Xavier's ready to run away, St. Francis won't let them. This has been so tight, this 4th set. Just about as close as can be. Cosme hits it out of bounds. We're tied at 18. 18-18, timeout called. Fourth set. The Cougars are 7 points away from sending everybody home. The Fighting Saints are 7 points away from sending us to a fifth and decisive set. Both teams trying to bounce back from a loss. The key, though, for St. Xavier, it was a non-conference match that they dropped on Saturday. Saints, as I was mentioning a few moments ago, have gone almost a month, or more than a month and a half, actually, since the last time they've dropped back-to-back conference matches. It was a bit of a surprise when Indiana South Bend came in and knocked them off last week because they had been playing so well. The Saints, prior to that loss last Tuesday, had won 8 consecutive conference matches. And there was Indiana South Bend with a losing record overall, but the Titans have been on a roll. They've won 6 consecutive matches, and during that stretch, they've only lost 1 set. And that was here in that match last week. So the Saints actually gave them a better fight than anybody else has recently. They're giving St. Xavier a pretty good fight here as well, but it is still the Cougars' match to lose. They have fallen into a tie after leading more often than not. Both teams need to win by 2. St. Francis trying to take their first lead in a while. Rodriguez inbounds. What a hit from Emma Rodriguez, just barely got it inside the line. And the Fighting Saints, with 3 consecutive points, are back in front, 19-18. Saints have 1 timeout left. The Cougars just used their last one. And they might be wishing they had another right now. They're crumbling a little bit as Delaney Kirstein picks up an ace and makes it 20-18. Biggest lead of this set for St. Francis. Kirstein serves again. Another ace. Serving hasn't been their strong suit tonight, but when they've needed it most, they're coming up with some big ones from the freshman Delaney Kirstein. The Saints lead by 3. And now they are in control, but that control has just loosened a little bit as their lead falls to 21-19 on the serve from Kirstein into the net. Ivana Martinez serves for St. Xavier. Woodrich. Returned by Winterstein. Teskey blocked. And we got a 1-point game. St. Xavier serve down by 1. Late in set number 4. We've got a really good one going here. First 2 sets were neck and neck. Cougars pulled away and won convincingly in the third, but this is the tightest one yet. Deflected out of bounds off the hit from Danica Bowden. And Bowden and St. Xavier tie the score at 21. 3 straight points for the Cougars when they needed them most. Martinez has secured the last 2 on her serves. She serves again. Rodriguez blocked right back to the Saints. Babisco hits it over. Diving Simon can't come up with the play. The Cougars have made it 4 straight points. They lead 22-21, and St. Francis calls their final timeout. The last timeout for either side in this set. And it'll be the last time out of the match. If the Saints don't slow down this St. Xavier attack, the Cougars are now 3 points away from a win. They were down 21-18, but they've scored 4 in a row. And we'll see if this timeout slows their momentum at all. Critical spot for the Fighting Saints, who came into play today 10-3 in the conference, officially in third place, but tied with St. Xavier for second in the loss column. Cougars have just 2 conference matches still remaining, both at home against Mount St. Mary, or just Mount Mary, against Mount Mary and Judson. For St. Francis, after today, they go to Governor's State and Viterbo and have home matches against Calumet and Olivet. The fact that they still have to play Viterbo makes this one even bigger, because that's going to be a really tough win. Martinez serves out of bounds over the back line. Coming out of the timeout, Cougars lose their momentum, and now it's 22-22. It'll come down to the final few points. Alyssa Teskey serves. Teskey sets up Babisco. Rodriguez hits it over. It's returned by Bowden, and the Saints can't keep it alive. Into the net off the hands of Cadence Woodrich. Cougars break the stalemate by taking a 23-22 lead. And now we'll see if the Fighting Saints can respond. Opilka serves. And Rodriguez lines it right in between Opilka and Van. We're tied at 23 on the kill from Emma Rodriguez. Next team to take a 2-point lead will have themselves a 4th set victory. Smith blocked and knocked out of bounds by Samantha Hovey. Just a miss hit from Hovey, and all of a sudden, set point for the Fighting Saints. 24-23, it could come down to this serve. Broadway sends it to the back line. Cougars look to return it. A nice diving play by Broadway. And Simon gets it over. Opilka for Bowden. Nice defense from the Saints, but a double hit. And we're knotted up at 24. Woodrich got it twice in a row. It'll take at least 26 to win this one. Serve is away from DeHaan. Jensen, played by Simon. Here's Hungates. Another chance for Jensen is deflected back in her direction. And the rally goes on. Cadence Woodrich over the blockers. Nice lunging play made by Teskey. Teskey two-hands it over, nearly got it down. Out of bounds on the hit from Jensen. Looked like the Saints might have had the point a little bit sooner. Ariel Hoskin made a really nice defensive play, but it set up a hit from Jensen that was too long. For the second time, set point St. Francis. And Hovey keeps us going. Samantha Hovey makes it 25 all. Carrington Smith gets the serve tied up as the Cougars try to win this match. Morris bumps it over. Hovey sets for Grahola. Battle at the net. Back to the St. Xavier side. Diving play made by Simon to set up Hungate. Kept alive. Another chance for Hungate. Free ball for the Saints. It's Teskey for Morris. And Morris gets another kill for St. Francis. Number 9 tonight for her. Set point number 3 for St. Francis. They have not been able to finish it off on either of the previous 2 set points. But now they'll try to win with their 27th. Out of bounds on the serve. It'll take at least 28. This is kind of appropriate when you consider how this game has been played. Neither team had a 2-point lead to start until the Cougars were up 9-7. So we went 16 points to start this set before either team could move ahead by more than 1. So it's not surprising that it's ending the same way. Neither team able to lead by more than 1. Hungates puts the Saints at the advantage again. Tenth kill of the night for Riley Hungate. For the 4th time. Set point, St. Francis. The serve belongs to Maura Babisco. Grahola has it deflected to the back line. Saints are able to recover. Winterstein keeps us going. First kill of the night for Ava Winterstein, and it could not have come at a bigger time. Set point for St. Francis is thwarted. And now the serve belongs to Taylor Van as she tries to put St. Xavier ahead. Cougars haven't had a lead in a while, not since it was 22-21. 23-22 actually was their last lead. Teskey tipped at the net. And now the Cougars are in front as Nicole Grahola finds the back line. And after St. Francis could not capitalize on 4 set points, St. Xavier's got their first match point. Van is looking to make it 3 straight points to wrap it up, but she hits it into the net. And we play on. 28-28. And the winner of this one will have to reach at least 30 points. It's Kirstein's serve. It's a good serve, and it's an ace. Kirstein's 3rd ace of this 4th set. 5th of the night overall for St. Francis. And this will be their 5th set point. Battle at the net, won by the Cougars, but the Saints are able to play it on defense. And Teskey gets it down. St. Francis wraps up a dramatic 4th set victory. 30-28 is our final score. We will play a 5th set. That was a wild one. 5th time was the charm for St. Francis. On their 5th set point, they finally finish it off. We'll go to the 5th in just about 3 minutes. I'll step aside for a moment. We're tied at 2. Final set coming up next. Fifth set coming up. It'll be the first to 15 who will win this all-important CCAC match. Cougars took the first and third sets. Saints took parts 2 and 4, including a dramatic back-and-forth victory in the fourth set. 30-28 was the final score. Leaders in this one right now for St. Xavier, Jenny Jensen has 12 kills. That leads everybody. Carrington Smith and Samantha Hovey each have 11. Hovey's got herself a triple-double today, 11 kills, 19 assists, 17 digs. Alyssa Teskey has a triple-double for the Saints, 11 kills, 18 assists, 14 digs. It's her fourth triple-double of the season. Riley Hungate has 10 kills, Talia Masana 19 assists, and Simon leads the way with 30 digs for the Saints. Ivana Martinez has 37 for the Cougars. We're underway in game number 5. Nicole Grahola has a big hit, played by Masana on the other end. Alyssa Teskey gets it over. Chance for Rodriguez, and Emma Rodriguez has the first point in set number 5. 9th kill tonight for Emma Rodriguez. Make that her 8th. Malaya Morris has 9. Hovey sets for Cosme, and Cosme gets the antenna. So it's out of bounds. It's 2-0. It's a big lead to start this one for St. Francis. We're only playing to 15. So I know 2-0 by the numbers is not a big lead, but it's an important one. 2-1 as Kirstein hits it into the net. Kirstein had such a huge fourth set serving. But a mistake this time. And it goes back St. Xavier's way. Teskey had the game winner in the fourth. Babisco makes a nice diving play. Here's Rodriguez. Jensen hits it over. Set up for Cadence Woodrich. Still alive. Jensen ties the score at 2. Two quick points for the Saints, 2 in response for the Cougars. The serve goes from Katie DeHaan. Rodriguez puts the Saints back in front. Already the second kill of this set for Emma Rodriguez. Malaya Morris checks in with Rodriguez, a fellow freshman. Morris having far and away the best night of her young collegiate career. She's tripled her career high in kills. Nearly an ace for Simon. It's out of bounds on the return from St. Xavier. Left scrambling on the serve. They were able to recover to get the ball over. But the point belongs to the Fighting Saints, who now lead by 2. Delaney Panazzo checks back in. First time we've seen her in a while. She did not play in the fourth set. Good block by Woodrich, but the Cougars are able to recover. Rodriguez, another big hit. 3 kills in the 5th set alone for Emma Rodriguez. She has stepped up big time in a big moment. She's into double figures with 10 kills as the Cougars call a timeout. St. Francis just 10 points away from a come-from-behind victory after they trailed 2-1. 25-23, the Cougars took the opener, and then the Saints bounced back with a 25-21 victory. The most lopsided score was in the 3rd set when St. Xavier beat St. Francis 25-16, ending that one on a pretty impressive run. The Saints have started this one on a pretty good run, 5-2. For St. Francis, this is the first time they've played a 5-set match in almost a full month. September 30th was the last time they were involved in a 5-set match. They won that one against St. Ambrose. At St. Ambrose, oddly enough, the last time St. Xavier played a 5-set match was also a win at St. Ambrose, but that was only 3 days ago. That just missed the line out of bounds. Another error on a serve. Coming out of the timeout, St. Xavier improves the score to 3, serving 5. It's just the 4th 5-set match the Saints have played overall this year. As Martinez hits it into the net, back-to-back service errors. They're 2-1 when they've gone the distance. Trying to improve to 3-1 and put themselves in the driver's seat for second place in the conference. Tapped over by Smith, and the Saints can't respond. Carrington Smith gets the point. The 2 seed in the conference tournament's a big deal. It means you'd be guaranteed, if you win, to host a semifinal matchup. Teskey for Hungate. Coming back the other way, it's Hovey with a good hit right into the corner. 6-5. St. Xavier is back within 1. They've trailed a couple of times by as many as 3. The Cougars have not yet led in the final set. Morris looking for her 10th kill of the night. Returned by Jensen. Teskey for Hungate. And Riley Hungate has her 11th kill tonight. Nice hit from Hungate. She's got a double-double with 11 kills and 13 digs. Saints maintain the lead. We were last tied at 2. Smith taps it over. Teskey's able to make the diving play. Hovey gets the line. Nice hit by Samantha Hovey. 6 serving 7 coming up. Towards the back corner, Broadway plays the serve from Van. Morris knocks it over. St. Xavier trying to tie the score. Hovey sets up Cosme, and Carolina Cosme hits it into the net. So instead of tying it up, they fall behind by 2. And with their 8th point, St. Francis will flip sides. The 2 teams trade positions on the court, with the Saints now just 7 points away from picking up their 11th victory in conference play this year. Both teams are situated now. We're ready to continue. The serve belongs to Talia Masana. Senior setter from Beecher, Illinois. Masana's serve is off. Hit at the net, going back St. Xavier's way. Hovey has it deflected right back in her face. A little bit too low on the nets on the hit from Hovey. And St. Francis matches their largest lead at 3 now, 9-6. Masana serves to the sideline. Coming back the other way from Bowden, and the Saints get another one. Kirstein and Hungate doing good work at the net. 10-6. St. Francis is in control of this fifth set, leading now just 5 points to pick up the victory. Drifted on the Saints, or on the Cougars rather, and the Saints clean it up. Timeout called by St. Xavier. The Fighting Saints are on a roll, 4 points in a row. And they lead this one 11-6. The Cougars use up their final timeout of the night. There was 1 point in the fourth set where the Cougars had a chance to end the match. They had one match point and it turned into a service error, so they never really even got a chance to play for winning the match. But it's hard to fault them for not taking advantage of their one chance when you consider that in that same set, St. Francis had 5 chances to win it before they finally closed it out. That was just so tight as a game that, yeah, St. Xavier was ahead 2-1. They were the team with a chance to end it a little bit earlier, but they didn't choke down the stretch. St. Francis has just taken control of it. Now the Saints are in great position. It would take a huge effort from St. Xavier to come back in this one. They need to outscore the Fighting Saints 9-2 the rest of the way. Certainly not impossible, but the Saints have the momentum right now. They're going to try to stay on top, put this one away sooner rather than later. Good hit from Carrington Smith right off the shoulder of Masana. Huge point for the Cougars after St. Francis had won 4 in a row. Smith's serve is played on the back line by Ann Simon. Here's Teskey out of bounds. 2 in a row for the Cougars. They've alternated victories tonight. The team that is standing on the left side of the screen, on St. Xavier's side right now, has won each of the first 4 sets. And St. Francis had the lead on that side here in the 5th. But after they swapped sides, Saints scored the first 3 points. Cougars are getting them back. Miscommunication from St. Xavier. It landed between 3 players. A much needed point for St. Francis. It's not as though St. Xavier had gone on a big run there. They only scored 2 points in a row. But it did feel a bit like coming out of the timeout, they were starting to shift momentum. And it doesn't feel that way anymore. Saints up by 4 once again. Maura Babisco to serve. Set up for Hovey. Deflected to the back line and Babisco. Here's Teskey. Masana for Kirstein, and on the back line, Van is able to keep it alive. Hovey looking for the kill. Nice recovery by the Saints. Diving play by Simon. Another chance for Rodriguez, and this time she finishes it off. Emma Rodriguez has had a monster 5th set. She's got 4 kills in this set alone, 4 of her team's 13 points. And the Saints now are knocking on the door. They've got a good ball right here for Teskey. Saved by Van. Kirstein wound up for it, but she ends up drilling it directly into the top of the net. So a big point for St. Xavier. 13-9 is the score. And it's the Cougars' serve. Off the hand of Samantha Hovey. Panazzo hits it across to Masana. Chance for Teskey. Diving play by Panazzo and out of bounds. Just out of the reach of Tara Glynn, who tried to chase it down. Match point coming up for the Fighting Saints. Glynn just came back in for the Cougars. First time She's been on the floor since the second set. Delaney Kirstein trying to finish it off. Kirstein to Masana. Rodriguez gets it right back. Now Teskey for the win. Played on the back line by Van. Grohola trying to keep her team alive. Another chance for Teskey. And Teskey finds the back corner. Saints win. 15-9 is the final score in the fifth set. We had a good one tonight. A wild fourth set. Kept it alive for St. Francis as they came out with a 30-28 victory in that one, and then never trailed in the decisive fifth set, pulling away to a 15-9 victory. It was at one point 7-6, and they outscored St. Xavier 8-3 the rest of the way. Just total control of the back half of this fifth set. An impressive victory for St. Francis, bouncing back from a defeat to Indiana South Bend last week, which had snapped their 8-match conference winning streak. They improve to 11-3 in the CCAC, 15-12 overall. St. Xavier falls to 14-8. They are 12-4 overall. For them, it's the second consecutive loss, but it ends a 4-match conference winning streak, and it does move St. Francis into the driver's seat for the second seed with just a couple of weeks remaining in the season. Let's take a look at some of the final stats tonight. Saints hit it at 134 overall for the night, including a match best 240 in the final set. St. Xavier's hitting percentage was .085, just negative .038 in the fifth set. Overall, the Fighting Saints finished today with 5 aces. The Cougars had 7 of them. Assists were 53-53 even. Digs were very even as well. St. Xavier had 115 of them. St. Francis 114. Blocks 8-4 in favor of the Fighting Saints. Alyssa Teskey led the way for the Fighting Saints with 14 kills. She had a triple-double with 20 assists and 15 digs. They also got double-digit point totals from Riley Hungate and Emma Rodriguez, who had 11 kills each. Hungate also had 13 digs. And Simon led the team with 32 of them. Talia Masana had 22 assists to pace the team. For St. Xavier, 13 kills apiece for Jensen, Smith, and Hovey. They got 23 assists out of Abby Opilka and a team-best 41 digs from Ivana Martinez. Saints win this one 23-25, 25-21, 16-25, 30-28, and 15-9. They pick up their 11th victory in CCAC play this year. St. Francis coming up next will head out onto the road, but they'll return home later this week. They've got a Saturday afternoon matchup against Calumet St. Joe's noon on Saturday. That'll be our next broadcast of St. Francis volleyball. That'll do it for this one. St. Francis beat St. Xavier in 5 sets. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet, Illinois. Enjoy the rest of your night.